Hook, what if I told you United's next boss isn't just a name, but a strategic statement? Today we unpack the 5-manager shortlist United reportedly has in mind to replace Carrick, and why this isn't just about who sits in the dugout, but what it signals about the club's direction. The setup: Manchester United are apparently eyeing a half-decade plan, not a quick fix. Carrick has done enough to keep the seat warm, but the club apparently wants a longer-term project. What matters here is not just the personalities, but the framework they bring: stability, identity, and a plan that transcends a single season. Personally, I think this is United trying to reclaim a sense of direction after a turbulent period. You don't appoint 5 different managers if you're chasing a quick reboot. First big idea: Oliver Glasner, Crystal Palace's exit strategy. What makes this really interesting is Glasner's emphasis on organization and pressing structure, traits that could anchor United's rebuild. In my opinion, Glasner would push for a cohesive system rather than individual star power, which matters in a squad with loads of rotating pieces. From my perspective, his success or failure may hinge on whether he can translate Palace's distinct approach to a bigger stage and manage expectations at Old Trafford. A detail I find fascinating is how Glasner's teams often punch above their expected control. Could that mindset be just what United need to break through plateaus? Second idea: Unai Emery, the coach with a track record of turning around teams mid-table into contenders. What many people don't realize is Emery isn't a one-hit wonder. He's proven in multiple leagues that he can reset a club's culture and extract efficiency from limited resources. If United hired Emery, I'd expect a deliberate refresh of the club's pressing intensity and a clear philosophy on how they shape attack from midfield. This raises a deeper question: can Emery install a long-term stylistic DNA at United, or will it feel like a series of tactical patch-ups? My take: Emery's adaptability could be a strength here, but the pressure of carrying United's brand is a different animal from mid-table rebuilds. Third idea: Andoni Iraola from Bournemouth. What stands out is Iraola's modern, proactive football and willingness to branch out beyond conventional top 6 playbooks. In my view, Iraola could bring an energetic, high-pressing system that suits United's talent pool if given time and transfer latitude. This matters because the Premier League rewards speed and press in cycles, and Iraola's approach could accelerate the club's return to intensity. One thing that immediately stands out is how a coach from a smaller club can disrupt expectations and force bigger clubs to adapt. Could United leverage that dynamic to gain a competitive edge? Fourth idea: Roberto De Zerbi, formerly of Brighton and Marseille. What makes this really interesting is De Zerbi's emphasis on ball movement, spacing, and the willingness to take calculated risks in possession. If United embraced De Zerbi's philosophy, we'd likely see a shift toward more expressive attacking play and a more fluid front line. From my perspective, the risk is whether the squad's mix of talents can sustain his high rotational system. The payoff could be a noticeable uplift in creative output and goal quality. A detail I find fascinating is how De Zerbi's teams often spot a distinctive spatial language. Could United's frontline finally find that missing geometric harmony? Fifth idea: Julian Nagelsmann, current Germany boss material. What this really suggests is a move toward a technically sophisticated, data-driven approach with a strong emphasis on coaching autonomy and development. If Nagelsmann becomes United's manager, expect a culture of iteration, continuous tweaks, player development pipelines, and a relentless pursuit of tactical clarity. This raises a bigger trend: big clubs seeking young, technically proficient coaches who can normalize a demanding, modern footballing philosophy across the squad. My view is that Nagelsmann would push for a modern, hybrid system that can adapt to injuries and squad changes without losing identity. Deeper insight: Tyler Adams and other transfer targets show United aren't just chasing a coach, they're pursuing a broader rebuild. What this signals is a club that wants to stabilize midfield, bring in players who can press, recover, and build play through the thirds. In my opinion, The success of this strategy depends on how well the chosen manager can integrate new signings with existing stars, and how patient the club ecosystem will be during the transition. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't merely a managerial carousel, it's a test of United's willingness to invest in a long-term blueprint rather than short-term adrenaline. What this means for fans: a potential shift in expectations. If a manager with a clear footballing identity is appointed, we should anticipate longer cycles of development, not instant titles. From my vantage point, that's a healthier dynamic for sustained success, even if it temporarily dampens the roar around every transfer rumor. Closing thought: the next United era hinges on more than just a name above the door. It's about whether the club can harmonize a modern, demanding football philosophy with the realities of Premier League pressure and player personalities. If you're watching this to gauge the club's future, ask yourself, which star would you happily watch weekly, and which manager do you believe could shepherd a real, lasting transformation at Old Trafford? Let me know in the comments which coach you'd pick and why. I'm genuinely curious to hear how you weigh the balance between system, star power, and long-term project.